Today we're going to talk about 7 reasons that possibly you might weigh more today than you did yesterday. Now, I did do a Facebook post about this today, but I think that these are the things that we don't talk enough about. And a lot of you reach out and connect wanting to get rid of the menopausal belly fat and kind of that midlife stage where we've gained some kilos or pounds and we actually are just not happy with our body composition. So being a nutritionist myself, I obviously am in the business of helping people lose weight and get rid of get rid of the fat. And these are things that we don't know and don't get taught about enough. And this is especially for people who weigh themselves every day. So these 7 things are just things to keep in mind. Now, when we jump on the scales are basically giving us data. So I think it's helpful on a fat loss journey to have that data input, and I'll talk at the end about the best practices for using the scales to get the outcome that you need. But let's dive into these 7 different reasons. So the first reason is basically carbohydrates. Like if maybe yesterday you ate more carbohydrates than you normally would, do, then we actually store an extra 3 grams of water for every gram of carbohydrates that we are storing on our body. So that in itself is going to straight away change that weight on the scales if you have just happened to overindulge in the carbohydrate area. The next one is food generally. Generally you may have had a day where you just ate more food. So when that happens, it is taking time to be digested and processed in your body, and that will reflect in the scales when you jump on the scales because your body just has more food on board. The next thing is stress. So when we have the stress hormone cortisol running through our bodies, cortisol actually helps our body hold on to water. Water equals extra weight. That shows up on the scales. So this is another thing to be mindful of. And look, to be honest, if you're in menopause and we're connected over menopause, having cortisol racing through your body will mess up all your menopause hormones as well. So it really can create a lot of drama and goes hand in hand with, some of the reasons why the extra weight comes on at this stage of life too. The next thing I want to talk about is fiber. So I'm a real big fan of fiber. Fiber is really amazing for gut health, for just feeling full and satiated. Generally, I'm helping people lose weight, and when we're in a calorie deficit, then that often means we can get a bit hungry. So by adding a higher fiber diet, that allows us to be more satiated because fiber takes a lot longer to digest. Hence the reason it can show on the scales. Like if you have had way more fiber in your diet that day than you normally do, then your body is still going to be digesting and processing it, and it will definitely show. Fiber also takes a lot more water to digest it and process it. So fiber can definitely cause that scale to change. The next one I want to talk about is salt. Salt, obviously most people realize sodium will retain water, and that is by far straight up gonna affect the scales 100%. The next one we don't often think about, but if you're like me and you love exercise and you do train hard, you lift heavy stuff, you just put out a lot of output, when you hit a hard training session or even a hard training block, this can affect the scales as well. Training hard causes micro tears in the muscles. This causes inflammation in the muscle fibers, and that's obviously the process of creating muscles, building muscles. However, the side effect of that is it can actually add on the scales as well. So just to keep in mind, and saying that, this is a good time to talk about it, is when I have been recompositioning my body through this menopause journey, I've literally, shed fat but increased my muscle mass. So the actual weight on my scales probably went down, then it went up because I built muscle. So, but my body, like looks completely different. So just bear in mind that in that process of losing fat and then gaining muscle, if you're like kind of an athletic person, that can actually reflect in the scales going up like it did for me. My body looks better now though than it did before, so I don't really mind about that. The next one is being tired or not getting good enough sleep. So this is so underrated, to be quite honest. And look, this is another culprit when we're talking about menopause, because sleeping can be really affected with menopause symptoms. But when we don't get great sleep, this increases our cortisol response as well. This can create hormonal, changes inside the body. And of course, like we mentioned before, cortisol can help like hold on to water weight as well. So there's a number of different reasons that getting on the scales today may not reflect what they said yesterday. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it's just about being mindful that it's not just about what happens today. So generally, I think if you're on a fat loss journey, it is really good data, feedback to be able to weigh yourself and get a measure of how you're progressing. However, if you're going to do it, you need to weigh yourself every day and take the average over a week. So then these sort of fluctuations get kind of spoken for within a whole week's period, rather than you just looking at a day. So that is the best case practice, is to measure yourself every day, divide it over 7, and that's your weight number for the week. And then each week you can see which way the scale's tracking. If the scale is not tracking down and it's tracking up, then you need to look at your nutrition and your exercise. And if you need help with that, obviously I am a nutritionist, so that is my field of expertise. So happy to help. Maybe if you would like to drop in the comments your situation, like have you had this fluctuation occur? Have you personally like had a love-hate relationship with the scales? Do you use them? Don't you use them? It would be great to get some feedback in that department as well. But honestly, if you need some help with nutrition, just drop nutrition in the comments and I can send you the link. Actually, maybe I'll just link it in the comments section here, in the details section, and you can just jump on and check it out if you so wish. So thanks for tuning in today. Please, I would just ask a favor, please subscribe so other people can find this channel. I'm over here sharing information so we can help each other along. And tag someone, maybe share it with them. That would be so great. I appreciate you for doing that. So thank you in advance, and I will see you next time.